Hey there, how's it going? So today I wanted to do a little bit of a walkthrough of Azure DevOps Labs.com because I got this question in my inbox a couple of weeks or months ago, and I realized I haven't actually answered it, although I've been doing other videos. So I decided today was the day I was actually really going to answer that question. And there's no better way to answer that question than to actually do a demo, to do a walkthrough of Azure DevOps Labs.com. And the reason the question was asked was because I mentioned that Azure DevOps Labs.com is a resource you can use to actually get hands-on skills and learning with Azure DevOps. And that is why I made that video, and then I am making this video because a follow-up question was actually asked in the comment section. So that is what I'm going to be doing in today's video. So let's actually get started and not waste so much of our time and get to the demo bit of this. So if you navigate to AzureDevOpsLabs.com, what you will get is this website. The interface might change in the future or might become better. So get ready for that. And one thing to note in that in the cloud world that we live in today is that there are a lot of changes happening in the interfaces in the cloud, in the platforms you use every day. So that's something you should note. But pretty much Azure DevOps Labs.com interface has been almost the same for a couple of years now. So there's nothing so much to worry about there. So if you go to AzureDevOpsLabs.com, there are a lot of labs you could do, but I'll pick this one of the simplest ones to actually work with, but then it should guide you through how to walk through AzureDevOpsLabs.com. So you have a couple of concepts you can go through, agile planning, managing your work items, enabling CI for your code, building your code, automating infrastructure deployment with Terraform, feature flag management, code scanning, all those kind of things are things you can do. You can go through all of them in your time to actually see what it's all up about. But then the simplest one I mentioned I would pick out is to work with wikis in Azure DevOps Labs. So I just need to figure it out. Yeah, collaborating with Azure DevOps wikis, and that's the one I'll actually be demoing in today's video. And it's one of the simplest ones to work with, although there are more complex ones. I wanted to note with the ones that are a bit more practical is that some of them might not exactly work the way they are described because some of those samples are actually old. I think one truth we need to tell ourselves is the people managing this also, they have their own day jobs and then there's no time enough to actually manage them. So that's sort of an excuse for them. But then once you understand the basic concept, as I normally say, you can tweak your way around to get to the final result. And the sweet thing also is that the AzureDevOpsLabs.com website, the tutorials that are laid out there, they are the same labs that are being used in the AZ400 prep course. So if you're preparing for AZ400 certification exam for Azure DevOps, you would actually do a lot of this AzureDevOpsLabs.com labs in your learning, and some of the questions for the exam I actually follow the concepts also from AzureDevOpsLabs.com. So that is something you need to know. So the tutorial pretty much just goes pretty simple. We go ahead. So I will walk through the website, what is expected, then I'll go ahead and perform the tasks myself. So the concept is there's no prerequisite, of course, and then the first thing you need to do is create your project, have a project ready, and then go to the wiki section, save, create a sub page, check wiki security out, and then create a sub page, add revision information, and then also you can then move pages around to modify their hierarchy, and then also you can do search for your wikis, and then also you can publish code as wiki. So you might also want to have source control for your wikis. You can also perform that operation, and we'll be looking at that just in a little bit. And then using subfolders and all sort of things is one of the things you can also do. So if you look at that, that is the information around that. So let's go ahead and actually do it because there's no way to actually learn stuff other than doing it. So let's go ahead and actually open up the Azure DevOps. So I've created an Azure DevOps organization at the moment, and that is what I'll be using. It's called CCC Demos. So what I'll do, I'll just give this a name. I will call it Parts Unlimited. I don't have to give the description for now. I can leave it private or make it public. I can do some advanced stuff here. So if I wanted to, just to be a little bit on the safe side, I'm going to make this agile. And then I'm going to create my project. That's going to take a couple of seconds, and then the project will be created. So now that the project is created, the first point of call for us will be the wiki page. Of course, that is what we're learning. So let's go over to wiki now. And then the first thing you want to do, you see you have two options. You can get started with creating your project wiki or publish code as wiki. So the one we'll pick is creating a project wiki. And then you can call this home or doing something. So this is information that will be beneficial to you. Just put some text in there and then we save. Once we save that, it's now a wiki for us to use. We can always modify it, and want you to know that this supports Markdown, supports man-made diagrams, supports images, and whatever thing you want to do in Markdown is supported in here also. And if we go back now to the wiki's home page, you'll see now we have that home page with the text I just put in there. And then if you go a little bit on this top right hand corner, you would see that you can view revision. You can even link work items to it if you wanted to. And if you go over here also, you can modify your wiki security to select who can modify, who can access, who can create tags and branch for it, and all the permissions you normally would do in Azure DevOps. And that bit is there for you if you want to use it. The other bit is to actually add sub pages to your wiki. You can do that also. You can add a sub page. We'll call that getting started. This information is to get you started in our org and this project specifically. And then we can save this or save it with a revision message. So we can say, oh, added getting started info in here. And then we can still continue to modify it even after we have saved it. So we can link up to development environment setup, and we can link to sub wikis here also. But I will leave this for now. Well, that will give an error for now, but that is fine because I will create that page just in a bit. You see, it has a red because it couldn't find that page it's looking for. That is fine. And then I will save this with revision here. Add link to dev. Ignore my comments on that. Sometimes when I type very wrongly. So what I can then do, I can go back to the wiki home, go over here, getting started, and under getting started, I want to add a sub page. Then I'll call that development environment setup. And then I'll save that. Let me just put some text in there. So I'm gonna put apps here, Visual Studio 2022, Visual Studio 2022, Azure Data Studio. You can put as much information as you want to put in here for yourself. I'm just gonna ensure that it's properly tabbed, and then I'll save that. And then if I go up one page now to getting started, this link should be working fine now. If I go ahead to actually try to edit this document, this link should be fine. You see, it will link me up to that page, and then everybody is happy at the end of the day. Now that is fine to work with, and I can go back to that page actually and view the revisions I've done on it. No. I do not want to delete that. I just want to view revisions. And then you can see all the revisions I've put there. So it's more like a commit history kind of in a way. Now, another fun bit of this now is we can add code as wiki. So what I'll do here is I will create a new repository, and call it docs. DOCS is what I'll call it. And no git ignore is needed for this one. And I'll hit create. So when I do that, what I just want to do is update this readme. Or let me rename it first to be our team. I can link a work item if I wanted to, and then I can start adding information in that document. So I can say title is meet our team, and I can clone this down and work with it as possible. So my name is Dara and my role is dev. We have another person, Smith Jones, and the role is VP of dev. You can add roles like that and then just modify the document as you normally would if you're working with a markdown document. And then once you commit that, you can then go back to wikis. And if you go back to wikis, you can then go on the drop down right here and publish code as wiki. So when you click on publish code as wiki, all you have to do is select your repository and select the folder that contains those documents. And then it's the root folder we're using here. So you could have /doc/ all the stuff for yourself. So I will call this now. Let's call it team info. And all we have to do now is hit publish, and boom, it's right there with the information we need. And then as to modify the repo, the wiki gets updated also with all our pull request policy, branch policy, and all sorts. So we can actually also now add a folder in here. Let's call that events. So it's a new folder. Let's call it events. And then add a new file here. Let's call that January events.markdown. Remember, it's always markdown. And you can always also add subfolders as you go on events/this/that. You can always do that as much as you wish. And then January events, give it a title. January events, no events. Commit that to repo. And then if you go back to wiki, I'm just going to open that in a new tab so I don't go back and forth with my pages. And we go on this drop down here, team info, and you can see events now. January events right under it. No events for January. And if we go back here and add a new file under this folder for January events, let's say we add is that spelling? February events.md. We add that in. Let's just save some time. Let's call that cakes and pizza. And then commit that. And then we hit on commit. If you go back to wiki and we refresh, you can see January events, February events, go to events, and then you can add a page content for this one to list the content of that folder. And then pretty much that's how you work with wikis in Azure DevOps. And then of course you can go to your project summary. Also, this an addition was not in the lab, is you can then add a project description from either a README file or one of your wikis. So the project wiki is what is being used here for this one. And then you can save that and then just be happy. And then what will need to happen here is just need to refresh this page, and then the right kind of information will show up to you. And that is pretty much how you work with it. If you go back to the lab, all the process that was named here is what we've gone through. And the reason why I'm able to do this, oh, I think I skipped one, is being able to move the order. So let's use the, no, not bots. Let's go back to wiki here. And if you go to the Path Unlimited wiki, you can change hierarchy of pages to say one page is the parent of the other one page is the child of the other one. If you move it around enough, and then you can drag it and drop it here. So it updates and modifies the links also as it goes, which I think is super duper nice. So you can modify your getting started page now because it was an explicit direction to the root folder. So we can then modify this one right here to just say ./, hopefully it's that way. So you need to modify the links that come along with it also. And boom, everything is good. Everyone is happy. Well, we modified another page. That is totally fine. We can always come back to modify this. And then pretty much that's the process we need to go through, and everything would work out just fine. And that is how you work with Azure DevOps Labs as a walkthrough. There are more labs you can go through other than this one I've showed you, like when we started this video. Like you can go through and actually do more practical stuff like going through deploying multi-container wraps, so AKS, but that will take a longer time than necessary for the purpose of this video. I'll probably in the future also go through these labs one by one to see which ones you can actually go through practically and work with. And I think pretty much that is what I wanted to go through into this video to answer the question that was asked. And I hope that answered the question. Remember, if you have further questions, I'll put a link to ask the question in the video description and also as a pinned comment, and probably I'll show a QR code somewhere on the screen so you can ask your question by just scanning the QR code also. Until I come your way again yet to another video, stay safe and goodbye.